Hey friends, welcome back to 3D Cartoon Review. Today we're diving into Land2, the Unrivaled Tang Sect, Section 129. Settle in, close your eyes if you like, and let the snow and steel of the far north open right in front of you. If this kind of cinematic, lore-faithful storytelling is your thing, remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next chapter. Now, let's begin. The night wind over the northern ice carried a sound like metal singing thin, cold, and almost too pure to be real. Huo Yuhao stood at the mouth of an ice fissure, breathing a mist that turned to needles in the air. Deep in his meridians, the 10,000-year mysterious ice he had just refined still rang like a silver bell. Power pooled and settled, his soul force calmed around the 75th rank, no longer a cresting tide but a cold sea under the moon. He lifted his gaze toward Long City's horizon, and the sky was wrong. There are lines of torchlight threading the dark, the distant thud of formation drums, the dull gleam of soul tools hidden under blackout cloth. Yuhao's spiritual sense spread like frost across glass. An army of roughly 20,000 from the Sun Moon Empire, threading toward the borders as quietly as an avalanche. At its heart he felt disciplined, heat-calibrated, cruel the Fire Phoenix Soul Engineer Regiment, the elite that turns the battlefield itself into a furnace. He stilled and listened to instinct. Nothing about this was ordinary. The camp lay like a crushed metal flower, petals of tents and barricades radiating from a command pavilion. Yuhao's mind mist flowed outward, seeking seams, tasting edges. He found a wall he couldn't climb, an invisible sheath over the command, a spirit blocker woven so dense his thoughts shivered. They were guarding against him specifically, or someone like him. Decision made, he angled for the outer pickets to snatch a pass token, singled out a 4th-rank female soul engineer, and reached. Her armor flashed. Lines awoke on the metal like veins of lightning, and a linked defense tether snapped taut through the camp. Sirens didn't scream. They knifed the night. The camp's shield array locked. Detection mirrors dropped from the sky like hunting hawks, lenses fusing into a grid. Where the beams crossed, the air itself became a net. Yuhao had a heartbeat to choose. He took the sky. He burst upward through the lattice, body ablade. 3 mirrors shattered together like ice breaking on a lake. A dozen more swung toward him, and he split his path like smoke. The net tightened. He detonated a veil of mimicry, his aura stepping left while his body slid right, and what the grid seized was a ghost. He dropped back to Earth 3 ridges away. Breath even, eyes colder than before. 2 lessons landed. The enemy's aerial reconnaissance was brutal, and thanks to him, half of it was blind. He had also seen the spider's web over the command, canny, thorough, designed by a mind that loved traps. He might have slipped away and left the night with no more than a ruined grid, but beyond the command shield was a room he couldn't read, and in that room sat the mind that had woven this net. He needed a name. He would learn later that the answer had been seated there all along. Ju Zi, the Empress of the Sun Moon Empire, wrapped in red armor and responsibilities that ate sleep. She had come with 20,000 and the Fire Phoenix Regiment to the northern seam, the rim where the Heavenly Soul and Dueling borders drew a long, cold line. The Empire's vaults had bled rare metals dry in the last Great War. Prospectors had sniffed out a colossal, high-grade ore vein beneath this ice. Ju Zi's order: secure it swiftly, silently, completely. It would mend the Empire's greatest weakness. It would also bait the curious and the brave. Huo Yuhao shadowed the marching column north for days, far enough to be air, near enough that the army's breath buffeted his back. Under a pale sun he watched Fire Phoenix hammer thick metal pylons into the ancient ice cores of rare ore, scaffolds of a design he didn't recognize. Without control arrays, their purpose lay quiet, but the perimeter they marked was a wide promise. At night, wind combed the snow so sharply it sounded like steel filings. He wore the wind like a cloak and stepped inward. No low-flying mirrors, no spirit barrier, no visible mesh. He let his spiritual field spread in a fine veil, searching for hostile intent. Nothing pricked. He ghosted between pylons, palm to metal, listening. Still nothing. He began to withdraw. The world hit a switch. Light surged from beneath the ice, white, hard, total flooding, a circle hundreds of meters wide. A woman's voice, cool and unsmiling, fell like snow. Your methods were studied. This was made for you. He went still. The voice continued patient, the tone of a teacher with a knife behind her back. In the far north, temperature tells on everything. Our thermals are tuned until breath is a footprint. You mask heat well, but when you move the air. These detectors don't hunt warmth. Tonight, they hunt wind. He tasted the truth, the cruelty too. Operators manning the station were regular soldiers. They knew nothing except that a grid had triggered. No killing intent, no spike of murderous will. His danger sense honest, Old stayed quiet because no one looking at him wanted death. The mind behind the net had skated around his reflex. His heart cooled another degree. Whoever sat in the chair thought in long steps. Circles of brilliance rose, soul tool muzzles locking, focusing, humming. 100 high-grade devices fixed him. A dozen more, 8th rank, held their breath. 1 9th rank unit stood like a word you say only once. And yet, no volley. For a mind that thought in traps, that meant something. They wanted him alive for curiosity, leverage, or both. "Show yourself," the woman said. "We can talk." He let the mimicry drop mostly. A twitch at the cheekbone, a shade at the eye, a minor adjustment. The soul tools drank in his face. Surprise rippled around the circle when they realized what hid him was a soul skill, not a device. The voice betrayed the thinnest disappointment. This was a hunt for knowledge, not a mere capture. She spoke of unifying the continent, a new age, talent put to its best use under sun-moon colors. While she pressed, Yuhao's mind mist slipped downward, outward, through ice and darkness. There, the heartbeat of a tunnel. There, the small, clean signatures of concealed soul engineers in a subglacial corridor. So the ambush had worn an honest face. The killers weren't on the surface to feel. He couldn't vanish. The net had hands. He would have to make it punch itself. He sighed, let his shoulders sag, let the cold seep back, and nodded once. Very well. He stepped toward locking cuffs designed to choke soul force to silence. He raised his wrists. All traps tighten, all traps relax. It's a rhythm as old as hunting. His spiritual sense caught the micro-exhale, the ring easing a hair when the kill seemed to fold itself. He struck through that breath. Mind static flared, not a brutish spike, but a sheet of snow thrown in a storm. Targeting locks blinked wild. Indicators skittered. One visor HUD went dark. A cluster of autosights rebooted in sync. Yuhao's mimicry flared with the noise, and when the light snapped back, the man standing where he had stood was the Fire Phoenix deputy commander, elderly, stern, and very wrong. Shock cracked discipline. Soul cannons half-fired, misfired, slammed shut. Someone shot too soon and scarred an ally's shoulder plate. The real deputy commander shouldered forward, spitting explanations, and in her urgency shook the shield of her calm. It was enough. Yuhao felt the hitch, the small mistake pointing like a whisper toward the center of gravity. He moved without moving. Soul swap snapped. One breath he was a ghost 2 pylons away. The next he was a guard breathing on the neck of the woman in red armor at the eye of the storm. He didn't hesitate. Soul shock leapt from his palm, a clean note aimed straight at the room where decisions live. His other hand found restraint points that fold a body without breaking it. Light burst out of her armor like a sun-striking stone gold, implacable, absolute. An invincible barrier, hardwired into suit and perhaps soul, met his strike and turned it aside with contempt. The plan didn't break. It became a different plan. He planted his heel. In the far north, the ground is a weapon waiting. 8-directional ice eruption answered him like a friend, lancing crystal through tents and scaffolds, flipping the line's edges like a dealer turning cards too fast. A shockwave of white rolled outward, the group debuff he'd learned to lay, like frost-sapping speed and power from every limb it touched. Soul ray fire lashed back hot. He clenched his left hand, and a line of seeded charges under the ice replied with blooming thunder. Snow and fire met, the world went blind. Behind him, something old and gentle stepped to his back. The Snow Empress's shadow unfolded a pale, endless shawl. Yuhao's storm domain billowed. Snow dance, ultimate ice recast and deepened by everything he'd learned since the first time he begged the blizzard to come, dropped like a curtain over 1,000 meters of night. The camp vanished. The world's edges went away. At the quiet heart of the storm, a single figure stood as if she were the eye itself, red armor breathing gold, visor down. Yuhao kept his altered face. He didn't keep his voice. It fell out smaller than it should have been. Yu Zi? The visor lifted a fraction. Familiar eyes widened, bravery and bewilderment clashing in the same heartbeat. Her lips moved before her mind caught up. You? Then louder, not as command but disbelief. You? For a pulse, all motion outside the storm ceased to matter. Once, each had been a door for the other. They stood in that doorway while the roof bled ice. Yuhao, the Snow Empress breathed inside his skull, the field is failing. Truth, the invincible barrier around Ju Zi dimmed, the armor's inner timers ticked down. Outside, hardened troops were seconds from organizing a burn that would sweep the storm away. Ju Zi whispered moon destiny, and did what he didn't brace, for she didn't trigger the second shield. She leaned in and set her brow against his shoulder, like a woman who hadn't seen clean sleep in weeks. His arms went around her because the body sometimes knows before the mind chooses. Memory lit and went dark in a spark. He had loved this woman once across a distance made of flags and vows. He had trained himself not to feel the pull. In the moments when men die, old ropes tug hardest. Her voice came from his collarbone, low and simple. Use me. He blinked. Her hands hung open, fingers loose, throat bare. She had measured his storm, his breath, his risk, and placed her body as the fulcrum. Not betrayal of her men, a gamble that the man she knew wouldn't use the knife his enemies expected. He understood. One arm held her waist, the other set fingers lightly at her neck, not pressure, only suggestion. His voice went cold and he threw it into the storm. Back off. The Snow Empress folded to silence. The blizzard drew in. The world came back with a shock. Above, 100 soul engineers hung in a woven canopy of shields, hundreds of muzzles tilted, everything pointed at him. Fire Phoenix Deluo, rank 94, tempered like glass under a hammer, flung up a hand and held the line. Even the mad hesitate when their empress stands inside a man's reach. Orders crackled across bands. No one fired. On my honor, I won't harm her, Yuhao said, binding the oath with soul and spirit, a hook bright to every sensitive mind. Muzzles relaxed a fraction, rings eased. He walked her out. Perception is a weapon. So is confusion. He laid a veil of light bewilderments like mist, just enough to blur arcs and angles, and drifted through an opening that hadn't been there a moment before. Snow hissed. Boots slipped. Strangers became obstacles. He passed through and walked until exact footsteps dulled to the sound of mere wind. Behind a shoulder of ice, he let go of her throat and opened his mouth to apologize. Ju Zi turned and wrapped her arms around him, fierce, brief, with no performance. She smelled like cold iron and something softer she had killed to keep hidden. I only needed to know you were alive, she said. That is enough. She stepped back, gathered herself, made an empress of her face again. Have you been well? The wind ran between them, widening space. He nodded. She studied his eyes and, with a small, helpless laugh that cut both of them, said, Then it was you the one who crippled our sky, eyes over Long City. No anger now, only the resignation of a chess player realizing she'd been playing herself. She did not veil what she wanted. You're the only one who ever moved me. Come with me. Help me end this age and begin another. When the continent is won, I'll stand behind you, not in front. He had heard steel on battlefields. He had heard steel in hearts. This was both. He touched her shoulder. No, not like this. Not on blood that keeps rising. I can't. Her eyes closed on the flinch, then opened sober and dry. Then answer once, she said, soft turning sharp so it wouldn't break. Did you ever like me? He didn't look away. Yes. She smiled, quiet, grief a breath past half-life. She rose on her toes and kissed him. Not sweet, not desperate. A seal pressed to wax so the letter would carry without opening. The sleep came slowly, like a tide from inside his blood. He tasted the faintest bitterness under her lips and knew 10,000 men drunk and was not angry. He yielded as knees softened. She caught him. He was suddenly heavier than armor. Her face was close enough to show how tired she was, and not from command. I told you, she whispered into the fold of his neck, your heart is too soft. From her sleeve she drew a long lacquered pin. Gold flashed murder's sterile glint, the kind that thinks lawsuits are for other people. The empire would be simpler if his breath stopped here. The trap would be cleanest with a body. Her hand hung, blurred between choice and gravity. She lowered the pin. A short, bitter laugh escaped that didn't belong on an empress's face. If you live, I don't become a demon. What she kept for herself, what she would never say aloud, was a softer cruelty. When Yuhao slid fully into darkness, she laid him carefully on the ice, unsealed a thin, elegant soul tool born in a shadow lab, and drew from him the purest essence a body carries. When she returned to the Empire, that essence would be the seed of a child named Yun Han, a son born from the distance between love and war. When Huo Yuhao woke, a clean sky would hang over a silence that felt almost kind. He would remember the kiss and the fall. He would not know what she had taken. He would not feel the life that would, far away, carry half of him without asking permission. Back on the ice, the Fire Phoenix formation reknit itself like deliberate fire. The metal pylons stood unburned and patient. Somewhere in that armored flower, a woman sat with palms flat on a table, eyes closed, making of herself the shape of the throne she had chosen. And above, under a sky hard as a blade, a man stood on a ridge and pulled the cold air into his lungs until it hurt. He had seen the hand behind the traps. He had walked out of a circle that should have been a period. He had said no and meant it. He had also said yes to something he would never get to keep. He looked one last time at the Empire's work in the ice, at the bright empty circle where a net had closed and then opened, and turned away without a word. The wind took the last of the storm and put it down where no one could find it. Thanks for listening on 3D Cartoon Review. If you enjoyed this faithful cinematic retelling of Land2 Section 129, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chapter. Drop your thoughts below. Should Yuhao have taken Ju Zi's offer? What do you think the ore field means for the balance of power? Your comments help guide the next episodes. See you in the next one.